Should new real estate agents buy leads from Zillow? As a real estate agent, your entire success depends upon your ability to keep your pipeline fully stocked. You have to keep that pipeline full every single month. Otherwise, you have a great month and then everything closes and you got nothing. And then you have another great month and then you got nothing. And trust me, I have been there. Being on that real estate roller coaster is not fun. It's not predictable. You have no idea where your money is coming from. You have no idea if you're going to be able to pay your mortgage in 2 months because you just don't have a good, steady, predictable flow of income. So there's a lot of appeal to buying leads. After all you got to do is hand over a sizable chunk of money every single month to a company that may or may not be selling that same lead to 4 other agents that are directly competing with you. But is buying leads from Zillow or any other portal the best way to go about filling your pipeline? Let's talk. This is going to be a good one. So do a girl a favor, hit the like button. I mean, after all, it took me a couple hours to put this video together for you, and it only takes you 5 seconds to give it a thumbs up. I call that a fair trade. I remember when I first got licensed, I joined a brokerage and I seriously thought I was just going to walk in, sit down at my glamorous new desk, and the phone was going to start ringing off the hook with people that said, I need to sell my house for $800,000 and I would like you to come over and sign all the paperwork. Let's get this party started. But it doesn't really happen that way. So what I was told when I was brand new was make a list of 100 people that you know, tell them all that you have gone into real estate. Ask them if they know anyone that wants to buy or sell a house, and would they please refer that person to you? Now imagine that you are the recipient of that phone call. Are you going to say, you know, my great aunt Kathy needs to sell her house and I'm absolutely going to give her your information. How long did you say you've been licensed? 4 days? Yeah, I just really want to put her into the hands of somebody with 0 experience. I'll get right on that. So then you start holding open houses, although in this environment that we're in right now, we're not really doing a lot of open houses because sellers don't necessarily want to have 50 strangers traipsing through their house. And depending on where you live, you may not be able to do them at all. There are certain states that are still got a lot of restrictions going on right now. Thank goodness Georgia is not one of them. However, there are lots of places where that's just not really an option. So if you're not going to networking events and you're not holding open houses and you're not really going out in public where there are large gatherings of people where you can pass out your business card and let people know what it is that you do for a living, how do you generate leads? You might start to panic a little bit and you think, oh boy, I just made a really bad decision getting my real estate license. How am I going to make this work? And then you get the magical phone call, the Zillow sales rep, who somehow gets your name and phone number and proceeds to call you for the next 12 years, every 2 weeks, like clockwork. Ask me how I know. Telling you they've got the magical solution for you. They are going to allow you to buy their leads. And all you have to do is convert a few of them, and that ROI is going to be there. Now, you can absolutely do that. I'm not saying that that is a terrible business model. However, let's think about it from a completely unbiased perspective. Now, before I go into whether or not that's a really great strategy for your business, let's talk a little bit about Zillow's business model. In the beginning, Zillow was just a software company. They gathered listing information, put it in a beautiful package with a big red bow on it that made it easy for consumers to search for properties on the internet. And then when they said, "Ooh, I really like this one, I want some more information on it," Zillow sold that lead to a bunch of real estate agents who were willing to pay for the information. So at the beginning, they really were a software company. They were a marketing company that was in the business of acquiring and selling leads. But then the business model started to change. And along came Zillow iBuyers, where Zillow would say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, I know you've got this distressed house. Let me buy it for cash. I'm going to make you an offer. Yes, it's going to be below market value, but you don't have to fix anything. I'm going to pay cash. I'm going to close whenever it's convenient for you. I'm not going to come in and request that you make all these repairs. And you're going to sell your house to a cash buyer with the least amount of hassle possible. Yes, you will pay for the privilege of doing that by not making as much. But if your goal is a fast sale with the least amount of headache, I'm your guy. Then they acquired Loop. Loop is an electronic signature company. My brokerage used to use Loop, and at the time, we were not very happy to hear that announcement because that means every piece of data from my clients that I was putting into the back end, their name, their phone number, their street address, their email addresses, all of the information about what is their mortgage balance, how much do they owe, all of that stuff was inside Loop. And now this company was going to own that program, and therefore were they going to have access to all of that data. And then in the fall of 2020, Zillow said, guess what? We are becoming a brokerage. All of these properties that we've been buying and acquiring through our iBuyer program, we are now going to turn around and put on the market and list them in-house so that we don't have to hire outside real estate agents to do that for us. And now in February of 2021, they announced that they are purchasing Showing Time. Showing Time is a software package that we use in our MLS here in Savannah. This is how we schedule showings. It's a great piece of software. I go look up a property on the MLS and my client says, oh, I want to go see this tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I just click on it. I say, I would like to come tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'll be there between 10 and 11. And is this convenient for the seller? Yes or no? The seller immediately gets a text and an email. Maybe their spouse gets it as well. And the agent. So like everybody's being notified right away. All the homeowner has to do is say yes, literally one tap to confirm that, yes, this is a good time for you to come. And it resolves a whole lot of back and forth phone calls playing phone tag. Especially for me as the agent, if I'm trying to line up 6 or 8 showings on a Saturday, and I'm constantly having to call and text and get people's voicemails, it's very, very frustrating. So Showing Time is an awesome little piece of software for scheduling your day. But now Zillow has purchased that too. So what does this mean that Zillow is going out and purchasing all of these different software companies? I mean, they bought Trulia a long time ago. They're buying up all of this stuff. They're creating their own offerings. Well, on Fool.com, they came to the conclusion, which I absolutely 100% agree with, where they said, it's a clear signal that Zillow isn't just buying and selling leads anymore. Zillow wants to control the entire customer journey. Now, I agree with that analysis 100%. So my question to you as my fellow real estate professionals would be, what role is there for the real estate agent in that scenario in the future? And is there a role for the real estate agent who is not part of the Zillow conglomeration? You know what a parasite is, right? The definition of parasite is an organism that lives on or in a host organism and gets its food from or at the expense of the host. The parasite eventually destroys the host. But let's talk about whether or not you should actually buy leads from this source or any other source. So I have tried pretty much everything when it comes to lead generation over the 15 years that I have been a licensed realtor. I have done open houses and knocked on every door in my neighborhood and sent postcards and every door direct mail and YouTube videos and farming and Facebook ads and blogging, going to networking events, passing out my business card. In fact, last week you heard my story about how I'm almost flunked out of real estate. So watch this video that's popping up in the card if you want to see how I almost like completely left the whole industry and went back to corporate America. But I digress. And I have learned that there is a very vast difference in the quality of the lead. And by quality, I don't mean how strong of a borrower they are, how good their FICO score is. What I mean is how committed are they to working with you versus any other real estate agent in your market. That there is a very big difference in a warm lead and a cold lead. So when somebody is on Zillow and they're searching for homes and they say, "Ooh, this one looks really good. I'm interested in it. I want to contact the agent." They don't even have to write anything except their name and their email. It's already pre-populated with, "I would like more interest on 123 Main Street." And it gets sent off to the agent or agents, plural, who then go to town, calling this person like vultures on roadkill. Because these agents are spending usually thousands of dollars a month for these leads. When that lead comes in, they need to stop what they're doing, call that person within minutes, and pray to God that they're the first person to call them. Because once they get that person on the phone, they're going to try to push for an appointment, and the person's going to schedule it, not knowing that there are 4 other phone calls coming right behind that person. So when agent number 2 calls, they say, oh, I already scheduled a showing. And now it's going to be very difficult for agent number 2 to get a foot in the door, because in their mind, they've already scheduled a showing. And after all, we're all the same. And all we're here to do is open the door. So what's the difference if I go with you or I go with him? Like, what's the difference? So in that business model, we are getting people that are not loyal to us. They could very well just be looky-loos. They're maybe very early on in their process. They may not be pre-approved. They may not be looking to move for a year. They just want to see the inside of this house because they want to know what stuff costs and what you get for the money. And I can't fault the consumer for that, because that's what Zillow is putting in front of them. Look at this beautiful assortment of houses. Wouldn't you love to go see some in person? But what the consumer doesn't know is that we don't do this for free. I don't just take my Saturday and drive people around to show them pretty houses because it's fun. I do this because this is how I earn a living. And if I show you houses that you never buy, then I do not put food on the table. So I don't like that we are educating this consumer that this is how we work. Like, all you have to do is just ask somebody to show you the house. You don't have to pay them. You don't have to be serious about it. You just need to say, I'm interested in this house, and somebody should call me within moments and be in their car within 20 minutes so they can meet me in half an hour to show me that house. I feel like we are training the consumer that that is a reasonable expectation. Now, would you call your dentist and say, I will be there in half an hour, you better make time for me? Of course not. That's not how it works. You call the dentist, you explain your problem, you schedule an appointment like a normal human being. Why are we allowing this to continue? I don't think this is a good business model at all. If we as real estate agents want to be taken seriously and we want to be treated as the professionals that we are, we need to train the consumers how we want to be treated. And that means you make an appointment, you give me some advance notice, you show me that you are seriously interested in doing this transaction. You don't just waste my time because you have nothing better to do on a Thursday afternoon than go out and look at houses. The other problem with this business model, like I talked about earlier, is that there's no loyalty to you. They don't know you. They don't know the other guy either. Why would they pick him over you or you over her? They have nothing to compare you to. They don't know either of you. They simply went with the person who could call them the fastest. Now, does that mean the agent is the best? No. Does it mean they have the most skill? No. It probably means they were doing nothing at the time when the phone call came in, so they were able to answer it. But a skilled realtor who is working with a lot of clients may not be able to answer your phone call right then and there because they are already with a client, or they are at a closing, or, God forbid, they actually have a life and they do things without their phone glued to their hand 24/7. Now, I am not that person. I do not take my phone with me everywhere I go. I do not answer texts within 5 seconds. If I'm eating dinner, I do not have my phone at the table. I'm having a conversation with my husband and my family. And if the phone rings, they can wait for me to call them back in 20 minutes and life will go on. But not if you are buying leads online. You are just going to have to plan to give that up. You need to have that phone surgically attached to the side of your head 24/7, because if you don't answer the call when it comes in, somebody else will. And then you are literally taking your $1,000 a month or whatever it is that you're spending and flushing it down the toilet. Let's compare that to leads that find you online. And this is why I love YouTube so much. And I'm always talking about YouTube. I got off the phone this morning. This gentleman was so cute. He said, I have been following your channel forever. We watch all of your videos. I know that you publish Monday mornings at 9 a.m. I actually have a little reminder on my phone at 8:50 that I should go to YouTube and start looking for your new video. We did a live stream 2 weeks ago. He was in the chat asking questions, telling us his plans for moving. And then he called me today and said, I don't know if you remember me, but I was on your live stream. I was asking questions. And he was adorable. And he loved the fact that he was talking to somebody, A, that he felt like he already knew, B, that he kind of thinks is a celebrity, which we know is so not true. Just because you have a little YouTube channel does not mean that you're a celebrity and you're big and famous, but that's how he feels. And so when I say, fantastic, we would love to assist you, here is how we work. This is what we can do to help you. This is how we are going to do it. And we can decide if we are right to work together. Now, rarely do I have somebody push back on that and say, what do you mean? Like, I'm interviewing you, not the other way around. Au contraire, I am also interviewing you because I do not need to take on a client who's going to be a huge pain in my butt. When you are in control of the amount of leads coming in on a daily basis, you have the freedom to say, you know what? It's been really nice talking to you. I'm afraid I don't think that we are a good fit. I'm going to refer you to my colleague. Her name is blah, 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 blah. I think that you guys would be great together. If he doesn't want to hire that person, fine. You are in the driver's seat. You can be in the enviable position of being able to turn down business from someone that sounds like they are just going to be a thorn in your side the entire time. And you know this people, when you talk to them and they're just like, all the things they're saying, you're going, I don't think this is going to work. You know, you have that gut feeling. But when you're operating from a position of scarcity, you're like, I got to take this business. I just need it so bad. I need a closing. I need a paycheck. I need a commission check. I got to eat. I got to pay my rent. I got to pay my mortgage. So even though I don't like this person, I'm going to suck it up and work with them anyway. You know what? That is a recipe for disaster. Trust me, I have been there. When my daughter was little and she was in daycare, we had friends that lived in our neighborhood whose kids went to the same daycare provider. And they said, hey, my mom wants to buy a house. Can I refer her to you? And she was from another country and had very different business practices when it comes to haggling. And like, you can never just take something at face value. You have to almost argue about every point so that you can feel like you had a good negotiation. And it just made it very adversarial. We had an adversarial relationship, the client and me, the client and the buyers. And then later she wanted to buy another house. And every time she called me, I just cringed. I saw her name on caller ID and it was like, oh, not again. Please, God, why do you hate me so much? And yet when she said, okay, I bought that house and you know what? I've lived in it for 3 months now. I really don't like it. It's on a corner. That was a bad mistake. I'm going to buy something else instead. I was honored that she chose me a second time. And even though it was a really, really difficult transaction, I took her business again because I needed the business. And after that one, I lost handfuls of hair. I was so stressed out. I was kicking myself. Like, why did I take her on as a client? Not once, but twice. Okay, finally, I've learned my lesson. If you are not desperate for the business, you don't have to take on any client who comes along. And that is so freeing. It is such a wonderful feeling to know that we're not a good fit. It's okay. There's no harm in that. There are different personalities in the world. If I am not your cup of tea, you can go work with someone else and vice versa. Now, I just told you about the lead I got this morning. Prior to that, I got another one who said the same darn thing. We follow your YouTube channel. Your videos are so helpful. We really, really like them. We want to move. We want you to represent us when we do. And we get those leads pretty much every single day at this point. Did it happen overnight? No, it did not. So you can still acquire leads in any other method that you want until your YouTube channel starts to ramp up. But once it does, you can get rid of all of the other ones because this really is such a fantastic business model. You are making all of this content that people like. They consume the content. They get to know, like, and trust you. They feel like they know you already. When they reach out to you because they're finally ready to do a transaction, you're in like Flynn. So if you're going to buy leads from any sort of online portal, just know that you are going to invest a serious amount of money. You're going to have to work really, really hard to convert those people because they're not as far down the funnel as other buyers might be. They're kind of at the very beginning of their journey, but you're going to have to convince them of your value and why they should work with you over somebody else. You're going to have to try to move things along if they are not necessarily all that motivated. And I've heard it said that if you have a 10% conversion ratio from the number of leads that you get to the number of closings that you get, that is a really, really, really good number. And I just feel like if I'm spending thousands of dollars a month, I should have a better ROI than 10% at best. So if 10% is on the high end, what's the average? Is it 4, 5, 6%? I don't know about you, but if I'm spending $1,000 a month or more, I would like to see a better ROI than a 5% conversion ratio. But if you can get your own clients without having to pay to acquire them, not only are they typically more devoted to you and loyal to you, and they're going to work with you exclusively, they already see your value, they already know, like, and trust you. You end up making a lot more money too, because you're not paying a referral fee and you're not paying to acquire that lead in the first place. So if I have not convinced you yet why YouTube is the most awesome way to generate business that I have ever discovered in my 15 years, I want you to watch this one next, and I'm going to tell you more about why it is so great.